Sometimes we were talking about the fiscal functions last time, and so we will come to the allocation function. We have already done some part of that, and I have given some notes on the WhatsApp group to be read by you. Have you done that? Have you read that? So no, everybody is completely silent. What I sent on the, so only Diksha has read it, I suppose, which I sent. That shows the difference between merit wants and social wants, and sometimes there is a difference which is asked in your question paper, that what are social goods, why the market fails in the case of social goods, and what are private goods, what is the difference between private and social goods. So we'll start with that. The private goods, what are they? We have already done a lot of discussion on this, that the private goods are those goods which yield utility only to the person consuming the good. That means the person who pays for the good, who consumes the good, only that person will have the satisfaction from that good, and that is why it is called private good, because it is individually available to each and everyone who pays for it and who wants it. So the want of private goods is referred to as private wants, because this want will be specific or subjective. For example, there is an example of a person drinking a cup of tea. So he will derive the benefit from the consumption of that tea and nobody else, because nobody else is consuming the tea or drinking the tea. Only that person who consumes the tea can derive the satisfaction. Therefore, the private goods are those goods the consumption of which is internalized or subjective. Again, private goods are priced in the market. So that is another point which you must note down when you are talking about the difference between private goods and social goods. That private goods के केस में consumption internalize होगा, social goods के केस में it is available to everybody whether he or she pays for it or not. And secondly, प्राइवेट गुड्स जो है वो मार्केट प्राइस पे अवेलेबल होंगे, और सोशल गुड्स जो है वो मार्केट फेल हो जाता है वहाँ पे, बिकॉज सोशल गुड्स आर फॉर द वेलफेयर ऑफ द जनरल मासेस. सो द गवर्नमेंट कैन नॉट फिक्स द प्राइस एज पर द मार्केट प्राइस. See, now all private goods carry a price with it. It may be full economic price or a subsidized one. The purchase of private goods requires ownership, exclusive use, and the right to consume. Sales and dispose of private goods are provided by private and public sector. However, majority of the private goods are financed and supplied by the market for price payment. That means there will be a price which the consumer will have to pay if he wants to consume the private good. Now that price may be an economic price. Economic price means determined by the market forces of demand and supply, or it may be a subsidized one where the difference between the cost and market price will be borne or announced by the government in the form of a subsidy. Now the purchase acquires ownership. That means ownership belongs to that person who pays for it, who consumes it. And exclusive use is available. The other point is exclusive use. That means exclusive consumption is held by the individuals in the case of private goods, because only those persons who pay are included. The others are excluded from their consumption. And the right to consume, sell, and dispose of is also belonging to that person. So now the provision of private good can be done by the private sector as well as public sector in partnership with the private sector. Continuing with that only explanation, those who do not pay its market price or those who cannot pay for it are excluded from use of this. Thus, the ability to price a good, the divisibility of a good, and the exclusion principle all go together in the case of the private good. The market economy provides private goods and does so efficiently. So these are some of the points which you can, put as heading when you are talking about the ability to price a good, the divisibility of a good, the exclusion principle. And that means only those people who have the ability to pay for the price determined by the demand and supply will be asked to pay, and only they will be given the consumption. Divisibility of the good means the good can be divided as per the payment. This is a characteristic of the private good. And the exclusion principle, that means the people who pay will be included, the others will be excluded from its consumption. And that is why the market succeeds in the case of the private goods. Efficient market economy, that means you can say the market forces, the demand and supply forces, the automatic adjustment mechanism intersecting each other at the market price will be determined in the case of private goods. Now we are elaborating it. How do you know that the market succeeds in the case of private goods or efficiently does it, which is based on two principles. One is the exclusion principle. Exclusion principle means that the market can function only in a situation where the exclusion principle applies. According to the exclusion principle, those who do not pay the market price are excluded from its consumption. For example, person A consumes a good because he pays for it, whereas person B is excluded from its consumption since he does not pay for it. In the case of private goods, there is property rights that is exchanged in the market takes place only when the commodity to be exchanged bear property titles. That means ownership. Ownership belongs to the private individual, and that is why this is known as property rights. Now, property rights happen in the case of the private goods only, not in the case of social goods. So that is the first principle which we are talking about, that is exclusion principle. And the second is revealed preference principle. Revealed preference का मतलब है कि you are revealing your preference based on your wants. The market for private goods function as an auction system. Do you know this time the Nobel Prize is also given for the auction theory? So it shows that the auction is happens in the market everywhere. Auction between buyers and sellers, auction in the market, and that is why these two economists got this Nobel Prize for their auction theory this time. So this becomes more important as the term here, that the market for private goods functions as auction system. The consumers bid for the commodity in question, and in the process they reveal their preference to the producers. Now, when they reveal their preference, accordingly the producers produce and supply. जिस चीज का आप प्रेफरेंस रिवील नहीं करते हो वो चीज मार्केट में प्रोड्यूस नहीं होती और ना सप्लाई होती है, बिकॉज देन द प्रोड्यूसर्स विल बी एट अ डिसएडवांटेजियस पोजीशन. If you are a producer and you want to gain maximum benefit of the market, what you will do? You will first allow the consumer to reveal the preference. What you want? What consumer is a king in the market. That's what it is said. That consumer enjoys sovereignty. That means the consumer reveals his preference, and as per their preference, the producers produce. In this way, the market operates on the information given by consumers. So this is another principle which you are on which the private goods is based, or the market principle succeeds in the case of private goods. Now, those who are unable to reveal their preference will be excluded from consumption. This process effectively functions in a market for private goods. और इसीलिए एक पॉइंट और नोट करिए, कंजम्पशन इज राइवल इन द केस ऑफ प्राइवेट गुड्स. राइवल कंजम्पशन भी एक कैरेक्टरिस्टिक है प्राइवेट गुड्स की. तो जब आप पॉइंट्स में लिखोगे, मान लो आपसे एक डिफरेंस शॉर्ट नोट में पूछा जाता है प्राइवेट और सोशल गुड्स के बीच में, तो आपको ये सारे पॉइंट्स हेडिंग्स में देने होंगे. राइवल कंजम्पशन का माने कि द मार्केट इज कॉम्पिटिटिव. दोज हु पे, मान लीजिए आप ऑक्शन कर रहे हो, तो द कंज्यूमर हु बिड्स द हाईएस्ट प्राइस विल बी गिवन द ओनरशिप टाइटल ऑफ दैट प्रोडक्ट, एंड दोज हु डू नॉट announce the higher price will not be given the product or ownership title. So in the case of private goods, the consumption is rival. For example, a piece of bread eaten by A cannot be eaten by B. In the case of private goods, productions are guided by consumer demand. In the case of private goods, market demand curve is constructed by summing at each price the quantity demanded by each individual. So it is subjective. It is based on individual preferences. This is all about the discussion on private goods. Now we come to the public goods, or what you call the social goods, which are supplied by the government for the welfare of the masses or welfare of the public. Public goods are those goods the consumption of which is externalized. So the first difference, प्राइवेट गुड्स में कंजम्पशन इंटरनलाइज्ड होता है, सब्जेक्टिव होता है. पब्लिक गुड्स के केस में कंजम्पशन एक्सटर्नलाइज्ड होता है. मतलब those who pay and those who do not pay are all equally being given the public goods. For example, walking on a road. Now, if the government has made a road, everybody has the right to walk on that road, whether you are paying or whether you are not paying. So, consumption is externalized. Public goods satisfy the collective wants or social wants in general. That is how the concept of social wants emerge. Public goods satisfy what? Social wants. Private goods satisfy what? Private wants. Public goods are those goods which are jointly supplied by the public and private sector sometimes. That is, the benefits from consumption of public goods are consumed jointly by more than one person. For example, I just told you the example of walking on a road. The benefits are not specific to the individual in a state, but are general in nature and reach the individuals as members of the society. For example, if you open a government school, now everybody who is working in that school will be given the benefits or the facilities of that school. It's not that you are building that school for one child or one specific child. So they are more general. The benefits are more general. No exclusion principle applies in this case. Non-rival consumption. That is, when additional citizens consume the good, you are not taking away the good from one person and giving it to other. It is freely available to everybody. जैसे अभी ब्रेड का एग्जांपल दिया था, तो ब्रेड में क्या है, अगर आपको बी को देना है तो ए से लेना पड़ेगा, और अगर आपको सी को देना है तो ए बी दोनों से लेना पड़ेगा. दैट मीन्स यू हैव टू रिड्यूस द कंजम्पशन ऑफ दैट गुड फ्रॉम अदर्स इफ यू वांट टू गिव दैट प्रोडक्ट टू some particular individual. So the consumption becomes rival in the case of the private good, which we did earlier. In this case, the consumption is non-rival. That means additional citizens consume the good without reducing the consumption of that good from earlier people. And just a natural defense, security, peace, law and order, you are maintaining it in a, providing it in a general manner. You are not, defending one person. You are not putting the defense armors for one person and sacrificing the others. You can't do that, because it is a kind of defense, maintaining law and order, justice, peace, which is a kind of social good which the government has to provide to everybody. If he is an Indian, if he belongs to India, then the Indian government has the responsibility to provide these kinds of articles or these kinds of security provisions. Now, since the public goods are non-rival in consumption, that means you are not taking away the product from one person and giving it to other. The marginal cost of providing these goods to additional citizens are zero. Why marginal cost? Additional cost. So you are not taking away from the person and giving it to other. So that is why the marginal cost will be zero once they are produced. So if you can be asked this question, that why is the marginal, what will happen to the marginal cost in terms of public goods, or why it is zero, then you have to write the whole characteristics, and you have to prove that public goods are general in nature. Public goods are provided by the government without keeping all these points in consideration, that the consumers who pay will be included, others are excluded, or it's a kind of rival consumption, or it's a kind of limited supply, the ownership, revealing the preference is important. ये सब चीजें यहाँ पे जरूरी नहीं है. And that is why the public goods are those goods where the marginal cost to additional citizens are zero. Now they have elaborated it in the case of national defense, for example. Please correct the spelling of defense here. The cost of allowing one more citizen to enjoy the benefits of a well secured and peaceful life is exactly zero, because you are spending in a general way on the national defense. You are not, you are not providing. If you are providing it to one more person, then it will not cost anything extra. Or if you are maintaining peace for the people residing in India, all the citizens of the country, then the cost of providing peace to one more citizen or one additional citizen will not be costing to the government. And why? Because the goods are non-rival in consumption, and so everybody is having that product in equal quantity, and additional resources are not spending when additional persons enjoy the same benefit. Whereas in the case of private good, the marginal costs are greater than zero. Because like bread ka example, if you are giving to one person, one additional person, the consumption of that product, then it is rival. Then you have to snatch away the product from one person and giving it to that person. This is because additional sources are to be expended for the production and supply of a private. For example, private nursing home. Now, if you are providing, say, 100 beds there and 150 patients are there, so automatically there will be an auction, and those who bids for the highest price will be made available 100 beds, and the rest 50 will be excluded from their consumption. That is an example of private good. Now, the ability to exclude others from enjoying benefits of good is a distinguishing feature between private and public goods. Public goods are characterized by non-exclusion principle. That means everybody is included, nobody is excluded from the consumption of public good. For example, bridge, road, railways, whatever it is, the government is providing. फ्लड कंट्रोल प्रोग्राम्स, रेडियो सिग्नल्स, मॉस्किटो अबैटमेंट प्रोग्राम है ना, अभी आजकल जो कोविड से बचाव के जितने भी प्रोग्राम्स चल रहे हैं, स्कीम्स चल रही हैं, दे आर पब्लिक गुड्स इन द सेंस दैट द सर्विसेज फ्रॉम दीज गुड्स आर अवेलेबल टू एवरीवन एंड नो वन कैन बी एक्सक्लूडेड फ्रॉम कंज्यूमिंग द सेम. Whereas the ability to exclude individuals from enjoying the benefits is a characteristic of many private goods. For example, the cable television services extended by private individuals exclude the individuals from using its services who do not pay towards the monthly charges. So it's an example of a private. Indivisibility is also another characteristic of the public good, which is not there in the case of private good. पब्लिक गुड्स के केस में आप इसे डिवाइड नहीं कर सकते हो, जबकि प्राइवेट गुड्स के केस में जितना आप पे करेंगे उसके हिसाब से आपको वो गुड मिलेगा, उसकी यूनिट्स को डिवाइड करा जाएगा. लेकिन यहाँ पे हम पर्सनलाइज्ड कंजम्पशन नहीं कर रहे, पर्सनलाइज्ड इंडिविजुअल्स को प्रोवाइड नहीं कर रहे, सो द पब्लिक गुड्स कैन नॉट बी डिवाइडेड इनटू यूनिट्स. These goods are provided for the satisfaction of social wants or collective wants of the community. Whereas private goods are available in units, an individual can consume it by purchasing the same by giving a price. In the case of private goods, there is the existence of individual property rights, whereas public goods possess the characteristic of indivisibility and collective consumption. पॉल ए सैमुअल्सन ने एक डेफिनेशन पब्लिक गुड्स की दी, जिसको सोशल गुड्स भी कहते हैं. जो मैंने आपको पीडीएफ डबल मस्ग्रेव की भेजी है, उसमें सोशल गुड्स बहुत इलैबोरेट दिया हुआ है. यू कैन गो थ्रू दैट ऑल्सो, बट दिस पीपीटी हैज बीन मेड फ्रॉम देयर ओनली, एंड सिंगल मस्ग्रेव बोथ जॉइंटली आई हैव यूज्ड, सो दैट you are not leaving, because this topic, this syllabus of the unit 1 you will not get in any other book, so that is why we will have to do it from there only. He said that public goods as one which all enjoy in common, in the sense that each individual's consumption of such a good leads to no subtraction, like marginal cost is zero. You have already defined that. So each individual consumption of such a good leads to no subtraction, no snatching away from any other individual's consumption of that good. That means everybody is provided that good without taking away from one person, you can provide to one additional individual the same good, the same service. That is called the public good. So, in short, if you want the characteristics of public goods, you can say indivisibility, because it is general in nature, it is not subjective, so it can't be divided. That you can say, no, you will not walk on this road, you will not cross this bridge because you haven't paid. So it's a kind of indivisibility. Non-rival consumption means marginal cost is zero, or you can say you can add up more additional people in the consumption of those goods without subtracting the earlier consumers. So that is why it's called non-rival. Availability is like free for all. Non-excludability, non-exclusion principle, that means everyone is included in the consumption or use of that product of public good, nobody is excluded. And collective consumption, that means everybody living in the society, living in the economy, has the equal rights to consume those public goods. So it's a kind of not individual consumption, it's a kind of collective consumption. Now see, in general, public goods possess the characteristic of all these points which we have done. You can just elaborate on these characteristics by looking at the PDFs which I have already sent, and elaborate it in say one paragraph, these characteristics which we have already done, and give some example to explain your point. Till this, if it is clear the difference between private good and public good and the characteristics, difference in terms of characteristics between private and public goods, if it is clear, then please say yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is the first part of the assignment which you all have to do. Diksha, have you added everyone in the Google Classroom? Those of you, हाँ, तो बाकियों को भी इसी ग्रुप पे लिखो तुम नाम से, तो फिर आई विल, या यू सेंड मी, देन आई विल राइट इट. ओके, so that all of them join it, and then I will give you a question till this time so that you can simultaneously. अगर आप लिखते जाओगे तो बेटर होगा. कैन बी जो मेरिट वॉन्ट्स हैं उनके लिए जो गुड्स हम सप्लाई करते हैं उसको मेरिट गुड्स कहते हैं, और जो पब्लिक गुड्स हैं उनको हम कैसे यूज करते हैं, सोशल वॉन्ट्स के लिए या पब्लिक वॉन्ट्स के लिए. तो इसलिए पब्लिक वॉन्ट्स को दो कैटेगरीज में डिवाइड करते हैं, सोशल वॉन्ट्स एंड मेरिट वॉन्ट्स. सोशल वॉन्ट्स हम ऑलरेडी बहुत कुछ कर चुके हैं कि जो सोशल गुड्स सप्लाई होती हैं वो सेटिस्फाई करती हैं सोशल वॉन्ट्स की, मतलब वॉन्ट्स ऑफ द सोसाइटी. The people who live in the society, if they want anything particular, then the government has the responsibility, the state has the responsibility to supply and satisfy those wants. Merit wants and merit goods. Now social wants are those wants which are satisfied by services that must be consumed in equal amounts by all. They can be satisfied through budgetary allocation. Now, social wants are the responsibility of the state or the government, and that is why there is a separate budgetary allocation for these wants. I cannot admit now because it's 4:25. So such wants can be satisfied through budgetary allocation. So budget has the provision of satisfying those social wants. Whereas merit wants are those public wants which can be satisfied on the basis of consumers' choice, though there is a general demand and common characteristics for these wants. Merit wants are those wants the satisfaction of which enhance the meritorious ability of a person. So काफी सिमिलर हैं मेरिट वॉन्ट्स और सोशल वॉन्ट्स. डिफरेंस सिर्फ ये है कि मेरिट वॉन्ट्स का मतलब है कि जो गुड्स हैं उनमें कोई ऐसी कैरेक्टरिस्टिक है, कोई ऐसा मेरिट है जिसकी वजह से वो उस पर्सन की मेरिटोरियस एबिलिटी को बढ़ाता है, और इसीलिए इन गुड्स को हम कहते हैं मेरिट गुड्स. और जो जनरल आप एक्सपेंडिचर करते हो, एजुकेशन, हेल्थ एंड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, ये सारा आपका सोशल गुड कहलाता है, क्योंकि ये सोशल वांट्स को सेटिस्फाई करता है. सो देयर इज अ वेरी ब्लीक लाइन of difference between social wants and merit wants, but it is true why it's called merit wants, because they define the merit of a person, they define the meritorious ability of a person, and that is why they are based on the consumer choice. If you bid for that product, then it's called your consumer choice. Now they are close to private wants also, because merit wants can be subject to exclusion principle and can be satisfied with the market process within the limit of. कीन्स का इफेक्टिव डिमांड आपने ऑलरेडी पढ़ा है, इसलिए मैं उस डिटेल में नहीं जा रही हूँ. हाउएवर, usually those wants are taken in public budget on meritorious count. To quote Musgrave, public services aimed at the satisfaction of merit wants include such items as publicly furnished school luncheons, जैसे मिड डे मील, subsidized low cost housing and free goods meant for the satisfaction goods. If you will have school lunches in a more nutritional manner, then what is our aim? We want to satisfy the merit wants of the people. We want to make them meritorious. अल्टीमेट एम तो यही है. मिड डे मील स्कीम का अल्टीमेट एम क्या है कि जो बच्चे वो न्यूट्रिशनल डाइट खा रहे हैं, जिनको कि घर में वो सप्लाई नहीं हो पा रहा, जो घर में राशन सप्लाई हो रहा है PDS system के through, that is your social good. But if you are supplying the luncheons in the school and you are providing nutritional, you are keeping in mind the nutritional diet being provided to the school children, then automatically your aim is to make them healthy, make them more efficient contributor in the economy, So you are trying to make them more meritorious. This is why it is called merit wants. It is called merit goods, and it is aimed to satisfy their merit wants. Similarly, housing. Now everybody, for example, if you talk about India, everybody cannot afford to buy houses at the market price. So the government aims to provide them subsidized or low cost housing. Now it is not social want, it is a merit want, because those who will be given the shelter, who will be having this kind of proper housing in their name, they will be more secure. And if they will be more secure, their efficiency, their productivity is going to be enhanced, in other words. So it's a kind of meritorious want being satisfied through this merit good. So that is the difference between merit wants and social wants. Free education. Education is going to enhance the knowledge of the people, and automatically if knowledge is going to be enhanced, then you are going to talk about millennium development goals. जैसे आप बात करते हो, तो उसमें हमने इसको एक बेसिस बनाया है कि ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट कैन ओनली बी enhanced if we have more healthy people, if we have more educated people. So health and education are social sectors, but if we are providing it, we are trying to make the people more meritorious, more efficient workers. So that is why this is the difference. Now, if the child is enrolled in a government school where the midday meal operation is there, then that child will be availing that kind of luncheon. If you are enrolling in a low cost housing scheme, then you will have to pay something, and those who do not pay will be excluded. So these merit wants can be subject to exclusion principle and can be satisfied by the market process within the limit of effective demand. और वही मस्ग्रेव का एग्जाम यहाँ पे डेफिनेशन. Now the idea of merit goods springs from what may be regarded as the paternalistic role of the state. What we imagine is when we elect the state or the government, we want somebody as the guide or mentor. जैसे आप जब आपके पेट्रन्स होते हैं या आपके पेरेंट्स होते हैं, वो एक पेरेंट या मोटिवेटर की तरह या गाइड की तरह काम करते हैं, उसी तरह यहाँ पे स्टेट को भी हम मान रहे हैं कि उसका जो एक रोल है वो क्या है, एज द guide, as the protector. So merit goods are coming from that role. For example, free compulsory education. The benefit is not only to the child who is being educated willingly or compulsory, but also indirectly to the community at large. ये मैंने आपको बताया कि अगर बच्चा पढ़ेगा तो आगे जाके वो कंट्रीब्यूट करेगा इन द सोसाइटी. So it is going to not only, the benefit is not only limited to that child, but that child may be able to educate his or her parents. If they are uneducated, he or she can act as a positive agent to the community at large. So these merit goods are provided for the purpose of increasing economic social well-being of the particular individuals or goods. Now this merit goods का जो justification है, it is also for the equality in the distribution. Equality principle को भी satisfy करता है, because merit goods can be supplied by the market mechanism through price payment, and hence it can be subject to exclusion principle. So only because it is close to private goods, but it is different in the sense that merit goods are provided by the state and the private goods are provided by the private capitalists. So definitely the price which the private capitalist will charge for his good will be more than the merit good provision which is obtained by the individuals on the basis of merit. So automatically it will be subject to exclusion principle the same way as the private good, but they become public good when the government considers them as meritorious as to be supplied to people free of direct changes. मतलब government जो है, if government recognizes that these goods are satisfying the merit wants and they are very crucial and they increase the merit to such an extent that the community at large can be changed, then the government tries to fit in that allocation expense in the budget. फॉर एग्जाम्पल हेल्थ है. अब हेल्थ सेक्टर को पहले इतनी इंपॉर्टेंस नहीं दी गई थी. अगर आप डेटा देखें उठा के इकोनॉमिक सर्वे का, सो यू कैन इजीली जस्टिफाई दिस पॉइंट. बट आफ्टर द पैंडेमिक ब्रोक आउट, द गवर्नमेंट स्टार्टेड रिकॉग्नाइजिंग, नो, if people will not be healthy, then we will be losing our economic actors. And that is why now there is a separate allocation of resource on the health sector. So there is a budgetary provision in addition to what is supplied through the market. So merit goods can also become public good if the government recognizes that they are too meritorious and too essential for the society, and so a separate budgetary provision can be made. For example, educational services, public health services, sanitation, typical example of merit goods can be provided by the market system for a price payment. But then, considering its social importance and welfare value, the government may choose to supply them through budget, even though consumers can avail such services from the private market. जैसे sanitation है, अब घर का कूड़ा उठाने के लिए आप सैनिटेशन वर्कर को हायर करते हो, यू प्रोवाइड एक्स्ट्रा पेमेंट. But then Nagar Nigam has the responsibility of providing, cleaning the city and providing these door-to-door services for the sanitation. Why? Because in a way they consider that this is important for the welfare of the people. So they have allocated a separate budget for this head. So therefore, merit wants are those goods which lie in the borderline wants. That's why I told you this is a closed border between merit wants, private wants, and social wants. That part of the service which is supplied by the market mechanism is a private good, whereas the part of the same type of service which is supplied through the budget will be called merit wants or merit goods. Therefore, merit goods are provided through budget to ensure quality and social justice. So that's the difference between private wants and merit wants and social wants. Now, this is pure public good, which you call to satisfy the social wants. यहाँ पे जो हमने शुरू में भी पढ़ा था, the same thing कि pure public good is a public good where the marginal cost is strictly zero. That means you are not snatching away the consumption of one person to give away to one additional person the same good. Now, a pure public good possesses three characteristics: Again, repeating the same point. Firstly, there is an element of jointness or non-rivalness in consumption. That means you are not talking about individual consumption, you are not talking about rival consumption, but there is a non-rivalness in consumption. That means the same good can be made available to, say, three members of the society simultaneously, A, B, C. And or television broadcast signal is a good example of private good, बिकॉज देन जो ब्रॉडकास्टर है वो पेमेंट लेकर ही आपको वो ब्रॉडकास्ट करेगा. प्योर पब्लिक गुड के केस में एक्सक्लूजन नॉन एक्सक्लूजन प्रिंसिपल भी अप्लाई होगा. मतलब बी कैन नॉट बी एक्सक्लूडेड फ्रॉम एंजॉयमेंट इरेस्पेक्टिव ऑफ द फैक्ट दैट वेदर ही विश टू हैव इट और नॉट. आप चाहे उसका प्रेफरेंस दिखाएं या ना दिखाएं, अगर वो गुड प्रोवाइड हो रहा है तो वो सबको होगा. Thirdly, it's impossible to reject the supply of a particular good or service, so that if it is provided for A, then B cannot fail to participate in it. So B becomes a forced rider. Forced rider का मतलब कि if you are providing it to A, then automatically B will also have to avail that service. You cannot say if there is a survey of, say, 10 houses in the colony, then if one person is being given the benefit of a service, then other household person cannot say no, because it's being provided by the government. When all these conditions are satisfied, different people will consume different quantities of a good or service. Now, optimality of pure public good. How will you decide that the factor payment is optimum? For that, you have to compare these two things. Marginal cost of one factor is equal to the value of marginal net product of that factor. Remember marginal productivity theory of distribution, which you studied in BA first year. That's why I always say कि कुछ भी भूलिए मत जो आपने बीए में पढ़ा है या जो एमए में, because this is the, you know, you can say the good thing about economics and the bad thing about economics, that everything is interrelated. If you are talking about micro, macro will come. If you are talking about fiscal, then public finance will come or micro will come. So revise that marginal productivity theory of distribution, which says that when you are dividing the payments among the different factors of production, what you are trying to equalize? You are trying to equalize the marginal cost of one factor to the value of marginal net product of that factor, right? And that will be the optimum payment, जहाँ पे जो उसका marginal cost है वो उसकी marginal net productivity के बराबर है. So that is why this is कंसीडर अ मार्केट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल इसमें दिया है ऑरेंज का मार्केट और इसमें 3 कंज्यूमर्स हैं ए बी सी. अगर हम कहते हैं कि 3 रुपए के प्राइस पे ए 3 ऑरेंजेस खरीदता है, बी 5 ऑरेंजेस खरीदता है और सी 6 ऑरेंजेस खरीदता है, तो पूरे मार्केट का जो एग्रीगेट डिमांड है वो कितनी हो गई? 3 + 5 8 and 6 14 ऑरेंजेस. In this case, market demand curves are drawn by the summation of these individual demand curves. So summation of individual demand curves is the market demand curve, but there is a difference. By definition, pure public goods is characterized by non-rival consumption. Hence, a given quantity of pure public good is produced and supplied will be equally consumed by all the members. So you can go through it, and that is the difference between the in the case of pure public goods. डिमांड कर्व्स को हम वर्टिकली जोड़ेंगे. ऐसे हम जनरली जब डिमांड कर्व के टोटल डिमांड कर्व, एग्रीगेट डिमांड कर्व निकालते थे, तो if you remember, there was a diagram where we were including, say, A consumer, B consumer, and then the aggregate demand curve, summation of the individual. तो horizontal axis पे दिखाते थे, यहाँ पे हम vertical axis पे दिखाएंगे. That's the only difference between pure public good and the definition of the microeconomics, which we did. Now see, this is the optimal provision of pure public good. Let us illustrate the point with the help of a graph. Now it shows the demand curve for A, B, C. These are the 3 consumers. A consumer, this is his marginal benefit, this is B, and this is C. All are downward sloping demand curves. You can see that. Consume the same quantity, they do not equally value the public good. When OQ quantity of output is produced, then all three individuals can collectively share the benefits flowing from the level of production. और ये MSB क्या दिखा रहा है? मार्जिनल सोशल बेनिफिट, और ये आपका समेशन ऑफ द कॉस्ट है, बेनिफिट और डिमांड कर्व. ये आपका एग्रीगेट डिमांड कर्व बना जो वर्टिकल एक्सिस पे आया. एक्स एक्सिस पे आपने क्वांटिटी दिखाई है और वाई एक्सिस पे मार्केट डिमांड. Now this is a numerical example. Go through this. If you have any problem, then I will explain. But I think it's very simple. By the summation of these three consumers which you have in the society and their individual demand curves, you are getting the aggregate demand curve. And aggregate demand should be equal to the marginal productivity or marginal benefit or market demand for the public good. Now this is optimum comparison of the marginal social benefit with marginal social cost, and this is based on another principle which we did in the BA2, that was the principle of maximum social advantage. How did we decide in the case of social good is what the people are getting in terms of benefit and what do they accrue in terms of social cost, and the comparison of that or the point where they both become equal is the point of maximum social advantage, and that is the optimum output of pure public good. This is the marginal social cost. This is aggregate marginal benefit curve derived from the three consumers A, B, C. If you see, they both intersect at C point. So C point represents the optimum level of output, OQ, right? And 6 units is the quantity which is being efficient quantity or optimum quantity being supplied by the government of the public good. Why? Because this is the point where the marginal social cost is equal to the marginal social benefit. अगर हम OQ1 पे रुक जाएं तो OQ1 पे क्या प्रॉब्लम होगी कि आपका जो मार्जिनल बेनिफिट है वो ज्यादा होगा और मार्जिनल कॉस्ट कम होगी. इफ यू ड्रॉप अ परपेंडिकुलर फ्रॉम OQ1 टचिंग मार्जिनल बेनिफिट कर्व, you can see it, you know. So this is the difference in this case, that the marginal benefit will be more, so the government will be, you know, increasing the quantity till Q point. एंड सिमिलरली अगर OQ2 पे आ जाए तो यहाँ पे आपकी कॉस्ट ज्यादा हो जाती है और बेनिफिट कम हो जाता है. सो द गवर्नमेंट विल बी डिक्रीजिंग द क्वांटिटी. So that is why the optimum quantity of pure public good to be supplied will be decided by the government to be OQ point. The same way, if you want, you can write the numerical example also. Otherwise, you can just straight away show it through the diagram, that at this OQ point, you can say MSB is equal to, that is marginal social benefit is equal to marginal social cost, and this is point C. At point C, MSB is equal to MSC. Resources are allocated optimally for the production of pure public good, and at this point, the net social benefit will be maximum. So the efficient production of pure public good requires that the sum of the marginal rate of substitution equal the marginal rate of transformation, or in other words, MSB should be equal to MSC. You can write it in both the ways. And the efficient output of pure public good is financed by the government budgetary provision. However, the taxes must be collected from the citizens to provide the funds required for the production of pure public good. Now again, if you are talking about this, that how to collect the funds required for the production of pure public good, then if the government is going to provide the pure public good, the government needs finances, and the finance will be in the terms of taxing the people. So from where the taxes are going to be allocated and distributed and collected from the citizens, that is another problem of division of tax burden, which you have studied in BA2 also, where we talked about the ability to pay principle and the benefits received approach, talking about the dividing the tax burden equally among the different members of the society. That is sharing the tax burden between individuals A, B, C at our example. अगर हम ये example ले लें कि सोसाइटी में 3 individuals रहते हैं A, B, C और तीनों को आपको प्राइवेट सोशल गुड देना है, so in that case the cost of providing that social good will be borne by the state in terms of taxes. So the tax burden will have to be shared equally by them. So tax burden should be divided, and one possibility is to charge each taxpayer an amount per unit equal to marginal benefit, that is benefit received approach, that if one taxpayer is receiving more benefit, you are taxing him more. If the other person is receiving less benefit, you are taxing him less. So in that case, the numerical example, for example, says that A, B, C are collectively giving 1 to 3. Then it is likely that each taxpayer contribute in proportion to the benefit he receives. In a nutshell, it's called benefit received approach. Another possibility is sharing the cost. That is financial arrangement of cost sharing. Suppose A and C are superior bargainers, so respective contribution will be 1, 3 and 2. Why? Because superior bargainers का मतलब ये हुआ कि you are showing more preference for the product, but you can bargain when that no, we have the bargaining capacity more, A and C, and B has a less bargaining power. So B will be asked to pay less, and A and C will be collectively paying the leftover example. यहाँ पे बोवेन लिंडल सॉल्यूशन की बात की गई है, जो कि आपने पब्लिक फाइनेंस की BA2 में फिर से पढ़ा था, बट यहाँ पे आपको बहुत इलेबोरेट नहीं करना है, क्योंकि वो लिंडल सॉल्यूशन हम प्रॉब्लम ऑफ डिवीजन ऑफ टैक्स बर्डन में पढ़ते थे. यहाँ पे हम खाली उनका मेंशन करेंगे कि लिंडल प्राइसिंग जो है, लिंडल वॉज एन इकोनॉमिस्ट, और इनका 2 लोगों का साथ में एक मॉडल था, बोवेन लिंडल मॉडल, which suggests a guide for the public sector that results in both optimal quantities of public goods and unanimous agreement on how many resources should be devoted to production of public goods. So till this we will be covering today, that is pure public goods and the provision of public goods and the difference between public goods and private goods and the merit wants and social wants. So merit wants पे आपको short note लिखना है अपने assignment में, और डिफरेंस बिटवीन सोशल गुड्स एंड प्राइवेट गुड्स, जिस पे अभी एक क्वेश्चन मैं भेजूंगी. इम्प्योर हम नेक्स्ट टर्न पे करेंगे, अदरवाइज इट विल बी टू मच फॉर यू टू अंडरस्टैंड. नाउ प्लीज गो थ्रू दिस पीपीटी वंस अगेन. वी विल बी शेयरिंग इट, एंड ऑल्सो द notes which I have sent is from Single Musgrave now. So take out a printout if possible, or if you can read it from mobile, but then you have to write it in your own words. So write it in the paper along with this PPT so that you have the notes with you. Hope you have understood this. So we are closing down today's class at this point, and the next class we will be finishing.